It all started when I decided to take a DNA test. It was supposed to be something simple, a way to learn more about my heritage, my roots, and maybe discover something interesting about my family's past. Little did I know, it would unravel the darkest chapter of my life. I had always trusted my wife, Sophia. We had been married for almost 15 years, and everything seemed perfect on the outside. A beautiful home, a successful career, and 2 wonderful kids. But the DNA test shattered that illusion, setting off a chain of events that would forever alter the course of my life. The results came back in a few weeks, and there was something odd about them. Along with the usual data about my ancestry, there were unexpected genetic markers that didn't make sense. I immediately contacted the company to understand the discrepancies, but they couldn't provide an explanation that satisfied me. The thought crossed my mind. Could I be mistaken? Was I really questioning my own family? Then, my mind wandered to darker possibilities. A sudden wave of paranoia hit me. Could my wife, Sophia, have been hiding something? Had she been unfaithful all these years? I never considered it before, but the test left me with a gnawing feeling that something was off. I started digging, slowly and cautiously, trying to piece together clues. Late-night browsing, subtle questions, and observing my wife's every move, none of which had ever seemed necessary before. I found an old email, buried deep in her inbox, that she had forgotten to delete. It was a message from someone named Mark. The tone of the email was casual at first, but as I read further, my heart sank. They were talking about their next weekend getaway, and it wasn't the first time they had met. The names, the dates, the promises, they were all there. My hands trembled as I clicked on the next email and the next one, and then I found it. An entire hidden life. It wasn't just a brief fling, it was a 12-year affair. In that moment, everything I thought I knew about my wife and our life together crumbled. How could she do this to me? How could she betray the trust I had placed in her? It wasn't just the affair that hurt. It was the lies, the secrecy, the years of manipulation. My mind raced. What did this mean for our children? What did it mean for the future I had envisioned? The overwhelming pain made me sick to my stomach. How had I missed all the signs? I had believed every word she had ever said, every promise, every smile. I was blindsided. The realization hit me like a ton of bricks. I didn't know who she was anymore. I didn't know who I was. I stood in the middle of our living room, staring at her phone, her life, hidden in plain sight for so many years. My chest tightened. The anger and betrayal surged within me like an unstoppable force. I knew I needed answers, but I also knew that there was nothing she could say to make it right. I didn't want an apology. I didn't want any explanations. I wanted to disappear. I wanted to erase everything, this life, this marriage, all of it. The next day, I confronted her. The look on her face was enough to tell me everything I needed to know. She didn't even try to deny it. The guilt was written all over her. She apologized profusely, begging me to understand, claiming that she had never meant for it to go this far. But in my mind, it was too late. It was no longer about what she had done. It was about the fact that she had betrayed me in the most heart-wrenching way possible. I felt nothing but emptiness. I had given her everything, and she had thrown it all away. It wasn't just the affair. It was the trust that had been shattered beyond repair. That night, I made a decision that would change everything. I packed my bags. I didn't leave a note, a text, or a single word behind. I left. I vanished. I couldn't bear the thought of facing her, of being in that house, surrounded by the ghosts of my broken dreams. I took the car, drove far away, and never looked back. I needed to heal, to rebuild myself, but most of all, I needed to get away from the one person I had trusted the most. The days turned into weeks, and I found myself alone, isolated from the life I once knew. I moved to a new city, started a new job, and tried to forget the woman who had been my wife. But every time I closed my eyes, I saw the betrayal. Every time I heard someone mention her name, my stomach churned. I felt like a fool, like I had been living in a lie for so long. The pain of it was suffocating. I had trusted her completely, and in return, she had shattered me. As time passed, I realized that I couldn't keep running. I couldn't keep hiding from the past. The anger, the resentment, the brokenness, it would never go away unless I faced it head-on. I eventually reached out to a therapist to help me process what had happened. It wasn't easy. In fact, it was the hardest thing I had ever done. But slowly, I began to find peace. I learned that I didn't need her to heal. I didn't need to seek revenge or closure from her. I needed to rebuild my life, my identity, without her in it. Looking back, I can't say I have any answers. I'll never understand why she did what she did. But I have learned that sometimes the people we trust the most are the ones who hurt us the deepest. And sometimes the only way to move forward is to leave everything behind and start over. 1. What would you have done if you were in the narrator's shoes? 2. Can betrayal ever be fully forgiven, or is it something that always leaves a scar? 3. How do you rebuild trust after it has been completely shattered?